Welcome back, y'all. Ecom Dispensary. This is the second episode this week. This one should be pretty interesting. I'm pretty excited to talk about this. This is a reader recommendation from none other than the Ecom Cowboy. I think some people thought that Ecom Cowboy was me because I kind of refer to myself as that. And I don't know, maybe he stole that from me. Maybe I stole it from him. I'm not really too sure. Pretty cool guy, though, from all I've seen. Seems to be doing some pretty cool things out in the world, out in the ecom space. But he put something in Telegram. I'm going to read it out to you. I thought it'd be pretty interesting to look at and talk about. Might not be directly relevant to literally everyone, especially if you're just in like the very beginning stages. But I think it might be interesting for you guys to see the difference here. So this is the prompt here. Something I've been thinking about. How much different would my day-to-day have to look to go from 1 million to 10 million? Kind of feel like I just got to keep doing what I'm doing, but I've also seen people say you can't do the same thing you've been doing to get there. Would be interesting to hear your thoughts on this and maybe even your plan on how to get there. Great question. Great question, I think. Now, I will preface this by saying that me and the Scott Man, we have not personally yet hit a $10 million revenue year with any of our brands. Hopefully this year, we'll see. It could happen. I'm not saying that it's likely necessarily, but it definitely could happen. We should be able to get pretty close. We're definitely going to do a lot more than 1 million this year, barring any, freaking crazy accidents, knock on freaking wood there. But I think we do have some insights here. I'm honestly very curious, Scotty, to hear from you, especially on the operations side, the day-to-day, and kind of how your day-to-day has changed specifically, over the course of the last year or so. But my thinking is there's definitely some pretty big differences between the two. Honestly, like when it comes to getting to like $1 million a year in revenue, I don't really think it doesn't take like that much. It doesn't take like a big team. There are some important things to be focused on, but it's pretty different, wouldn't you say, Scotty?
It's pretty different.
The difference, going from 0 to 1 mil a year versus going from 1 mil to 10 mil a year.
Okay, so I think there's a couple different ways it can go. I think if you're in a very, very big market and you are very heavily focused on direct response copy, in some cases, nothing really changes. It is possible that all it takes is for you to sit in your chair and write better and better copy and test more and more and more. That is possible, I think, in big markets. More often, I think you're going to end up building more of a team and you're going to be less involved in each of the day-to-day activities as time goes by and as you scale towards 10 million a year. Not always, but that's the way we're doing it. And I think that's the way most brands at scale end up working. Yeah. So I think there's some direct response companies, some ecom brands that are super heavily focused on direct response, where it's just about that one main guy, the owner, getting better and better and just coming up with better and better sales pages, VSLs, etc. For us, it's like our copy isn't world class. It's pretty good, but it's not, we're not Agora. We're not the best in the world at writing copy. There's more that goes into our brand. So for us, just getting better at copying, better landing pages, I don't think that takes us from 1 mil a year to 10 mil a year. What I think gets us there is a lot more and better content, a lot more and better ads. Obviously, we constantly have to be refreshing creatives and ads at the level of spend that we're at to maintain results. But I also think it's things on the sourcing side, getting cost of goods down. It's also developing new products, new product variations, improving on our existing products to create like a moat, to create something that simple dropshipping competitors can't have or don't have. Because I mean, once you're doing $1 million+ a year, you're going to have people imitating your store. and you have to have some way of crushing them. For us, that's better margins, and also products that they don't have, product variations that they don't have, that we custom developed. Also,
and the good old DMCA complaints as well.
A lot of DMCA complaints, a lot of content that they don't have that we've shot, that we've invested in. What else? I also think at 1 mil a year, that's sort of the startup stage. All it really takes is product market fit and some really good ads, some really good marketing. To take that next step, sort of 10x from there, you have to start managing inventory well. You have to start managing cash flow. You don't want too much money tied up in inventory, but you also need to have inventory. So there's a balancing act there. You start to have teams of multiple customer support agents. You have to figure out, are they all doing their job right? Is customer support being taken care of? Are customers happy? There's a lot more management and planning that goes into it at that higher level, where at the 1 mil a year mark, you can kind of wing it more, where if you're short on stock at the level of skill that you're at, you can probably just place a bigger order the next week and you'll be fine. Going towards the 10 mil a year mark, you're going to run into the problem where your factory needs to hire new employees to scale. Like, your factory cannot keep up with production. FedEx can't ship all your products because there's just a backlog. You're going to run into more and more problems as you scale up, which is going to you'll have to figure out logistical issues that aren't solved by, let me make a new ad. And I think on the path to 1 million a year, most of your problems will be solved by a new ad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, getting to 1 mil a year, I mean, let's just say that that's 100,000 in revenue a month. That's obviously a little bit more over the course of a year, but let's just run with that. At that point, I mean, you don't need a whole lot besides you kind of managing the store, running ads. You got some VAs that are doing the customer service. But that's about all you need. Like, you don't really need a whole lot more than that. When I got to my first 1 mil revenue store, I mean, that's basically all it was, except for add in, I had guys running my Facebook ads who were helping me with that. But that was it. Like, that was literally the entire team. It was me, and it was, 2-man team that was running the ads with me. And then we had VAs, and like, that was basically it. I also had an assistant at that time, but that's like kind of irrelevant, honestly, because that was more like personal stuff.
Personal slave.
Yeah. I didn't want to say slave, but, it's not a slave, he's getting paid. So, it wasn't
Riley, get me my jewel from over there.
Good times, man. Good times. I also don't want to hear it from you, because you were benefiting from that too, man. You were getting lunch every day, so I don't want to hear it. But you basically, to go from 0 to 1 mil a month, you don't need a big team. I feel like some people think that, like, I've seen this fairly often with people who have kind of just started seeing success with Ecom. They think that, like, they've seen some success, and then they immediately go to, okay, I need to build a team. I need to build a big team. And I think there are situations where it does make sense to expand your business and to bring on people who can really, like, help you do that. But it's not just like, I don't think it should just be the default where you should just go to, okay, so I'm at this certain point now I need to just start building a team. I need to start hiring people. Like, you need to hire people if it makes sense to hire them. But I think a lot of people just go to that because they think that they've seen all these things online. That's like, okay, so if I want to scale, I need to build a team. And they don't really think about, doing it as intentionally as they would if they were like, okay, I don't really need to build a team, but if someone can, come on and be a big value and potentially help grow this business, then it might make sense.
Yeah. So I think to the 1 mil a year mark, you definitely need a team. You need support, but the team you need is like delegating low ROI tasks off your plate. Whereas what we're doing is we're delegating high ROI tasks. We're delegating the core activities of the business, which is marketing.
Yeah. That is a pretty interesting distinction. Because like when you're going from 0 to 1 mil a month, your priority is like getting menial tasks off of your plate so that you have the time and also probably more importantly the mental capacity and energy to spend your time doing the things that are actually going to move your business forward. Answering emails, looking at stuff like that is just not that's not gonna move your business forward. You got to be focusing on the things that are actually going to grow your business, like i.e. marketing. From there though, once you're trying to get from a mil a year to 10 mil plus a year, I think the team becomes a lot more important. I wouldn't doubt that you could honestly build a 10 million a year ecom business with like yourself and a team of VAs. And maybe like I think you might even maybe be able to do it with just that. But you're gonna be working a lot. That's gonna be tough. And I just don't think it makes sense to do that. I think that we've done, like we're not geniuses, obviously, but I think we've made some really, really solid moves over the course of the past year or so in terms of who we brought onto the team and how we've done that. And I think it's worked out really well for us and has directly contributed to us increasing our revenue.
100%, 100%.
Scotty, I want to hear about how your day-to-day has changed from this time last year to now. Because I think that was kind of what Ecom Cowboy was talking about. Like he was kind of more thinking about the day-to-day tasks that he's doing. How's that changed for you?
Mm-hmm. So I guess a year from now, we'd hired Josh. So we'd hired our marketing guy, but I was still looking at ads and talking to him every single day, making sure that he doesn't fuck shit up because he had a habit of fucking shit up. So I was still in the ads manager every single day, whereas now I open the ads manager about once a month. I was in the ads manager every day. That was a big one. I was revising his copy still. I was still very much looking over his shoulder and training our marketer, whereas now I just ask questions like, are we on track? What are you working on right now to improve results? Why are results up? Why are results down? Can we scale? Do we need to scale down? I'm just asking questions mostly. I am not supervising. I'm not looking over his shoulder. I'm not micromanaging him at all anymore. He is better at marketing our product than I am because he's got way more experience doing it. He's in the trenches day in, day out. He knows what he's doing more so than me or Nate. So that's a big difference.
That's honestly probably the biggest one, I would say.
Yeah. What else? What am I doing now? Talking to fulfillment a lot more. We have a lot more issues, a lot more stock issues, trying to figure out what's happened with shipments, trying to figure out why there's issues on different orders. Talking to fulfillment a lot more. Working on the big improvements for our business. So sort of at the start of the year, I developed a plan for how do we take this business from 1 mil a year to 10 mil a year. It was exactly that. And I'm working on implementing those big steps and dealing with the little issues that come up along the way. For us, those big steps are getting on Amazon, transitioning or lowering our costs by doing sea shipping along with air. We moved fulfillment centers. That was a big step. What else we got right now? We're working on or looking into doing retail sales. That was something that was on our to-do list or on our plan for 2021. So I'm pursuing new ideas that may flop or may work. And then I'm just handling the day-to-day issues as they come up.
Yeah. It's a lot more big picture strategic type thinking. And it's like, that's not, I don't know, it's not a whole lot of that in terms of like the amount of time, but I think that's really important. to be doing that. Like at the beginning of this year, kind of thinking, okay, so it's a 1 million a year business right now. How do we get it to a 10 million a year business? When you're in the stage of, 0 to 1 mil, there's not really as much strategic thinking that goes into it. It's kind of we talked about this in a previous episode, like kind of brute forcing your way to your first X amount of money. At lower levels, I think you can kind of just brute force it by just doing the right stuff with the marketing and the product market fit and stuff. Whereas now there's a lot more that goes into it on the back end with fulfillment, with shipping, with customer service, with getting content and building out our team and everything like that. It's a lot more, and it requires a bit more of like a thought out approach, I guess, than going from 0 to 1 mil a year.
Yeah. Not that we're like perfectly strategic, thinking 8 moves ahead or anything. A lot of it is just what can move the needle right now. That's the question you ask yourself. Then you brainstorm, you come up with a list of things, and then you start whittling away or like crossing stuff out off the list. I don't think this is really going to make a big difference. I don't think this is high ROI right now. But this, on the other hand, I think could be huge. Let me implement this. All right, I want to get on Amazon. So what do we need to get on Amazon? Oh, turns out if we want to have our own brand on Amazon, we need to be a registered trademark. How do we get a registered trademark? We should probably get a new logo. This logo that we got day one that my VA made in whatever free version of Photoshop that she has in the Philippines, probably not what we want to trademark. Let's get a professional logo made. Okay, let me talk to my logo guy. It's just a lot of back and forth. There's the big picture thinking, and then there's just dealing with the day-to-day stuff. But the day-to-day stuff, I guess this is a big difference. The day-to-day stuff I do, it all comes to me. It's like I can just open up my laptop and there's going to be 5 to 10 things every single day that pop up on my plate. Skype messages, emails, Slack messages, whatever. You don't really have that when you're getting started on the way to 1 million a year. When you're on your way to 1 million a year, you kind of have your daily activities that you should be focusing on, like writing ads, managing ads, etc. Those are things that nobody's going to tell you to do. You have to sort of sit yourself down and do them. Whereas for me now, I don't have any daily things that I need to do, but every day someone's pinging me and needs something from me. That's a big difference.
Yeah. Another thing that just made me think about is I think the concept of like which activities are quote unquote high ROI, they kind of change. Like when you're in those initial stages, the high ROI activities is like testing products, like making ads. Like it's very focused on just the marketing side of things. Like there are some other things maybe, but it's pretty black and white where it's like my high ROI activity right now is just getting better ad results. It's making more money. It's just like very direct and to the point. Whereas when you're going from 1 mil to 10 mil a year plus, there's a lot of activities that might not seem like they're that high ROI that can be extremely, extremely high ROI. Just a little bit more indirect, I guess. Like, for example, us reducing our cost of goods by doing a lot of our shipping via sea instead of via air. That doesn't really seem like a very high ROI thing. Like it's not marketing, but it actually is huge because it's kind of like the other side of the coin. Like with marketing, you're trying to increase your revenue, increase your profit. With this, like we're trying to increase our profit, but not by increasing the profit, by instead reducing expenses, which is equally as impactful as the more direct side of things.
Yeah. The highest ROI activities for me right now are hiring, training, and delegating, and brainstorming / making strategic decisions.
Yep.
Those are the two big categories. Are those the categories I spend the most time on? Not necessarily. I probably spend the most time on dealing with whatever people are pinging me with, which maybe is an issue. Maybe I need to hire someone to be the person who gets pinged instead of me. And maybe that's something I'm considering or working on right now. But yeah. So it's the most important thing. It's where most of the brain energy goes, because responding to questions from VAs or responding to questions from fulfillment, it doesn't take up much mental capacity. I could do it at 3 a.m. drunk out of my mind. Whereas making big strategic decisions, probably not a good idea at 3 a.m. drunk out of my mind.
Yeah. I think that's kind of like the main difference between like you and me and how we kind of like run this business together is like the stuff that I do is a lot more creative and like strategic type stuff. And yours is more like operational, I guess.
Yep, 100%. And I was talking to I was recently at an event out in Mexico at Nomad Capitalist event. And I was talking to the CEO or COO of that company and talking about exactly this, sort of the divide between creative work and operational tasks. And one thing that he said to me that really stuck was that you should have that time to just sit around and stare at the sky and twiddle your thumbs and think. You should have that time, whether you're the operational guy or the creative thinker, entrepreneurial guy. So a lot of businesses, I think, have that kind of split, where one guy is more creative thinker, big idea, and the other guy is more operational. But regardless of which person you are, you should have time in your day or in your week to just do nothing and think.
I've been setting aside time for that every day this week. Actually, I meant to, before we started recording, I meant to share with you some of my thoughts from that, but we can talk about that afterwards.
Yeah. And another thing that he said that has really resonated was that when you do this, when you set aside to do nothing and just think, brainstorm, you might not get a great idea on day one. And the great idea that you have week one might actually flop. But if you just do this consistently over time, you're going to have a lot of good ideas that do work over the span of a 40-year career. But so if after 3 months, none of your big ideas have hit yet, don't get rid of that thumb twiddling time. Just give it time. Plus, it's fun, so it's like nothing we like more than strategizing here at Blue Ocean E-commerce.
That's honestly so true. That was always what my perception of what business was like when I was younger, like before I'd actually gotten into it when I was in high school and like I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's what I always thought business was. And that, I mean, that kind of like hurt me because kind of like how we've been talking about this episode, like that isn't nearly as important for going from 0 to $1 million a year in revenue with an ecom business. But it is a lot more important when you're operating at higher levels because that kind of determines the direction of the business. Whereas at the beginning, it's just like, you got to do some like basic strategizing and figure out the direction that you want to go. But then from there, it's just kind of about brute forcing the action. Whereas when you got a little bit of a team, then you can kind of, delegate these things onto them, implement your ideas. And then I think a lot of times you just kind of got to sit back and wait and see how your ideas play out and kind of go from there.
100%, 100%, Schmitty.
Good stuff, man. It's freaking exciting. All these things. I mean, I think even maybe we're being a little conservative here, shooting for 10 mil this year, but that would honestly be pretty incredible if we could reach that goal. We'll see how Q4 goes, and of course, we'll keep you all updated. So far, things are going okay right about now. Hoping to get some more inventory in with I won't go into too much detail, but
we have inventory, Schmitty.
We do, but we don't have inventory for the variant that I want to have inventory for.
Yeah, I know.
Soon though. Soon.
Maybe.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully. Jesus Christ. But guys, that is our take on the difference between going from 0 to $1 million a year and going from $1 million to $10 million a year. It's pretty different. The day-to-day, I think, definitely changes. And I think it is important to keep in mind that this is based off of me and Scotty's experience with our specific business. what we've talked about in this episode isn't necessarily going to be the hard and fast rules for everyone for every specific type of business, but that's how it's worked out for us. And obviously, most of you guys listening to this are probably trying to build a business similar to ours in the e-commerce space. So we hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys got some value listening to us chat about the road from $1 million a year to 10 mil plus a year with Ecom. And I think that's about it. I think we'll talk to y'all in the next one.